All right, guys. Well, since we lost that recording, we're going to have to go back through this chapter again. And I'm going to do that real quick. And then we're going to continue theory crafting. 1142 starts off with the Jormungandr, and I'm so bad at these pronunciations. The thing that I found the most interesting in this particular part with Jormungandr and everything like that, like, these seem to be just fears coming to life for people, right? Because they're saying these are monsters from the underworld coming up, but it also seems like maybe one of the Holy Knights was the ones who created these monsters, right? Based on the fears of these kids. We get a Saul named attack, which I just find so damn sick. Midterm X slam. He's got some crazy armament hockey popping on his arm right now. It's just cool to see. I love to see that. How long has it been since we've seen an attack like from him? It's absolutely crazy. If we ever even have truly seen an attack from him. We get 2 introductions for the Tusk, or Tusk as the principal. 2 pages back, it's just Walrus School Principal Tusk, and he's a nerdy guy with some glasses and all that, and nothing crazy. And then 2 pages later, he's full-blown warrior bit with the hammer and everything, and he's a former Giants pirate. So, homie's built in lit, dude. He's got to be. But then we have the real issue here of Mr. Wolf just being absolutely messed up. The gym teacher having a bad time. Whatever got to him in there, which is crazy. And then all the kids are asleep. But what I found super interesting, guys, and I want to know if y'all have any thoughts on this either. He says you mustn't touch the children. And he's saying that to Saul. He shouldn't not trust Saul with getting to them or anything. So I wonder if touching them is maybe what's spreading the sleepiness that they're having or something like that. I'm really not sure. Feels out of place. And all we really get for that is Saul just being what? It's weird. It's super, super weird right there. So I'm not sure. Also, it's interesting that Saul says that this is not a big enough issue to warn the entire country about. Yet, I feel like it kind of is. I understand that he maybe doesn't want to make too big of a deal and alert absolutely everybody when this is maybe something that they could possibly contain. But at the same time, children getting put to sleep and marched away, in my opinion, seems like something that should be announced. So them blowing the horn, I think, is totally right. And I just find it odd that Saul, of all people, chose not to do this. Now, granted, with the forest going crazy, I mean, I don't know. It seems like absolutely a national level threat, right? So why are we not worried about this? You think it causes a reflex for the kids to attack since Mr. Wolf got folded? Oh, that's a good point. So maybe Mr. Wolf tried to do something with the kids, and then they just started going ham on them. That could be that's actually a really good point. I like that concept. Yeah. So then we start seeing these creatures like flying above, which inherently, the first thing I thought is Gorosei. Like the way these are being presented, especially the bird one, or this bird flying type one, very much so. But that's Fenrir. And then we don't have a full confirmation on what the bird might be. There's a couple options that we can get to in just a second. But very much so just looks like the Gorosei, which is just an interesting concept to me. But they're abnormal because these aren't specifically the animals that are pulling up. The children all are dropping constantly, so the rest of the kids start falling asleep as well, which is interesting that this seems to just directly be affecting kids. So us theorizing that Killingham being the one to put them asleep, this also helps to show that maybe Killingham is able to specify who is falling asleep in this particular with this particular thing. Next, we jump straight to the underworld, and Loki is just he's pulling up. He's like, bro, I'm not even wasting a second dealing with you guys. You are going to hear me out and hear me right now. He's like, and I do love to say again, and we have to point this out, still leading more towards the theory of Loki is either being framed or is just not as bad of a guy as he's being made out to be. He says, if you want to save Elbaf, undo the final cuff now. Which, I'm really curious what his first move is going to be. Let's say we do just undo the cuffs. No problem, cool, got you. What's his move? What is he going to go do immediately to save Elbaf? I'm not fully sure. Maybe, I mean, it would more than likely be him going straight for the Holy Knights because he knows that they're there and just going and turning up, because that's the biggest piece of information that he's got that they don't have, is that, I mean, they're aware that it seems like Holy Knights or a crazy presence has entered Elbaf, but they're not totally aware of the level of it. He's like, I can end everything if you guys don't hear me out. And he definitely gives us like the proof that he can create, like, I guess seemingly lightning that is catching things on fire here is what the assumption is. He does say right here, better hurry up. If I keep landing blasts, eventually they'll hit something and the fires will spread. You know what Elbaf is susceptible to, don't you? So like there it is, like boom, like homie is like prepared to burn everything down to save it, which is another crazy move. Like if homie is willing to sacrifice all of it and he's also trying to save it, like I don't know, it's just an interesting place to be, right? Half the theory we cooked up last stream has come to fruition. Exactly, Jet. We literally said this last stream that bare minimum, it seems like he's going to have some powers based on his weapon. His weapon will seemingly be a lot like Mjolnir. Thor's hammer, of course. And it seems like it is causing lightning strikes and stuff like that. So I mean, dude, exactly. Everybody in the village are like, was that thunder? So that like directly confirms that the hammer has lightning specific abilities. Now, maybe you could argue that the sound of him hitting the hammer on the tree is loud enough to sound like a thunderclap, but I think it's fair to make the extrapolation that lightning strikes are happening and that's causing the fires. Now, for the fire god fruit of some form, either Atlas or Prometheus, maybe. I love that concept. Exactly. Because, like, that's the other half of our theory that we need. His hammer has the lightning, but his devil fruit should have potentially some kind of fire, which the theory works too well, but my only issue with it is, dude, how many freaking fire fruits are we going to get in this story? Like, we obviously have Ace's flame fruit, and then we have Akainu's magma fruit. We have Oven's fruit. I don't exactly remember what his fruit was called, but that is a fire, like, heat-based fruit. Like, and now Loki with yet another fourth stage of even powerful, like, fire. I mean, because it's got to be more powerful than all of those, in my opinion. It seems like it's got to be. So it feels like, you know, we're kind of drowning in fire fruits, but at the same time, you know, Prometheus or what was the other one that you said? Atlas, dude. There's something to it. There's definitely something to it. Atlas sounds like a really, really cool one. That would actually go crazy. So you have the dream versus nightmare fruit as like some original fruits, but what if it's simple like fire, earth, water, air, aka four gods? You're right. So it's like a pure, clean version of that. But would that fruit not just be Ace's fruit at that point? Ace's fruit is pure fire. It's not magma or fire in some other form. It is just fire. So would that not just account for Ace's fruit? Back to the Walrus School. This was a really, really cool page right here on the fact of just showing things kids are scared of. And you know, turns out giant kids are not too much different from regular kids, but it's all based on their lore, mythos, and religions, which is super, super interesting. And we have yet another depiction of Nika being a god, but in a scary, destructive manner, as opposed to the liberating freedom, the one that we're looking at Luffy for, right? You know, the teacher asks, what are you scared of, basically? And this kid says the thing that they're most scared of is Nika. And then another kid says ghosts. And then we have undead Draugr. We have storms. We have Nidhugger, the lightning dragon, Jormungandr, and then this kid's mom, so she's probably a real problem. Like I love this little moment of all these things that they're scared of, and then immediately on the next page, we see in the forest all of these things coming true. We've got Fenrir here, we have Jormungandr here, we have Nika, but as like a problem, as a threat. We've got a ghost. We even have something seeming like Big Mom down here in the corner, which is crazy. We've got undead characters. I guess this is like Zeus from Big Mom. This also is like my assumption of the bird that we saw a couple panels back when, we were right here. We got Fenrir and whatever that bird is. I was saying that I was thinking it might be the Thunder Dragon that the kid mentions right here, but I did have somebody pop in the chat and explain. I'm actually going to try to pull that up real quick because I would like to. In Norse mythology, Nidhugger is a worm dragon. So worm dragon specifically is what's interesting. That makes it much more likely to be like Jormungandr, which is super weird to me, or like a sea beast maybe, which is odd. So it doesn't seem like that one's specifically depicted here, which you guys just gotta let me know if maybe I'm missing that or not. But he apparently gnaws at the roots of the world tree, which makes sense. A creature from the underground living at the very bottom of Elbaf, where the tree's roots would exist, quite obviously, always gnawing at the tree. And it makes sense that a kid would be scared of a creature like this because that would tear down their villages in the trees. If he were able to gnaw enough of those roots out, that could end the civilization that they have kind of built right here. You think the Mother Flame is really just a copy of Pluto, like how Frankie had the blueprints? Honestly, you're probably not wrong with that, or something along those lines. Or it was like it's being copied through science. Like Vegapunk figured out how to actually do the same thing that natural version of it is doing. Going to the very bottom of this panel, we were asking the question earlier in the stream, who do we think is doing what here with their abilities? And with this very specific panel right here of killing Ham in the middle of his sentence saying, okay, we're all ready to, and then falling asleep, I think that is enough of an immediate hint to say that he's the one putting these kids to sleep. He seemingly has some kind of like Sandman type of abilities like we were talking about. And then they do say, good job there, killing Ham, which kind of just like points to the fact that he's already done a job, and that job is putting the kids to sleep. And I think that is like working. Right here, he does in fact fall asleep. Then they say, hey, good job killing him. And then he just starts talking about the time limit of the kids reaching the ship and all of that. Do you think we'll actually be able to get him back? But the next interesting thing here, it's Sommers talking to Gunko, and he says, say, Gunko, are you afraid of anything? Which tells me that Killingham's the one putting the kids to sleep, and Sommers' ability, he has something along the lines of like a fear fruit or something like that, right? And with that fear fruit, that is where all these crazy creatures are coming from. We have Fenrir, which seemingly is just a like a mythological thing, like not inherently a real thing, but these kids are scared of it. Every single thing the kids said they're scared of is represented pretty much right in this, like some way, somehow. This could even be the Thunder Dragon because he literally has lightning bolts coming out of it. So instead of it being Zeus, like this is the Thunder Dragon, like being drawn in the form of like the way these kids are thinking. And then the last really crazy piece of this chapter, guys, is Gunko saying she's scared of Nika. Nika being her inherent fear, which is just something curious to me because how many people have we seen in this verse who really know about Nika and know what Nika's potential destructive power is? Not many. So if we go off the theory that I kind of have, that she was abducted as a young like child, and she's been indoctrinated by the entire Holy Knights like thing that they have going on, her thinking everybody is below her, but also all the way to the point of her fearing Nika, that could inherently be imbued in her through the Holy Knights, because we don't know like what they go through for training, and we also don't know how much information they're given, but we do know that Emu's biggest fear was Joy Boy, which inherently goes all the way back to Nika, right? If the Conqueror's Haki and the power of Nika is what they fear the most, then I could see Gunko having been raised and indoctrinated by these people, her also just having been taught to be like, this is the ultimate enemy. This is someone who you will absolutely lose to. And she seems to have her own god complex. So there being a god that stands above her, that isn't someone that she respects and follows inherently, is a big fear for her. I think there's a lot to that. This is a crazy chapter, y'all. Another absolute banger, dude. Another absolute banger. We got so many good things out of this, guys. I do want to go back to what Ill Twisted said. So basically talking about between Indian culture and then also Chinese culture, there's some mythos of in Indian, it's Rahu who attempted to steal the nectar of the gods, basically, to get immortality. In that moment, they got decapitated. And from that moment, their head was always sent spinning around the earth, which would what eventually would cause like solar eclipses. And that was their explanation for solar eclipses, where this head would eat the sun for a moment. But since it was a decapitated head, the sun would just continue on out the back, which is kind of a crazy point. But that is part of the theory, or that's setting up this theory. We also have in Chinese folklore the celestial dragon, which would attack and devour the sun. We actually have records of solar eclipses in Chinese history going back like 4,000 years. And way back in the day, they would say the sun has been eaten, which is like kind of a crazy concept. They would throw parties and bang on drums and scream and be loud to try to scare this dragon away, to make basically the sun come back. Now, this did eventually get dismissed, of course, because we figured out what the hell's going on. But Luffy is a sun god, and Luffy's number one thing that he does is eat. Like, my man be eating. A big thing that Kaiba pointed out was this moment with him against Rob Lucci, which kind of goes crazy, and just him like being so hell-bent on that is kind of crazy, dude. Like honestly, kind of crazy. I can see something in there. I'm not for sure what connection we have, but it's close. The next point that he really pointed out is like us talking about how Luffy's going to eventually master Gear 5. And in doing that, he might master it once he touches or maybe even eats the Mother Flame. which would be crazy because in this mural that everybody loves and we've been looking at forever, you can see that, yes, you could argue that Nika's just going for this demon here, but Nika, more directly, with sword and everything, is going straight for this sun. So what if when Luffy comes into contact with this mother flame, he will eventually master his entire form. He'll have a full pure form of it, and then he can go he can sustain it a lot longer. And then they follow through with some of these fan arts, which I really like the concept of this, dude. There's a lot to it, man. That's a cool freaking theory right there. That's a really cool theory. Well, we cooked about the kids part. Doesn't seem like Loki's going. One other thing that we were talking about that does remind me, what Loki's about to do, dude. If we were to just release this final cuff, him definitely just bum rushing Shamrock makes the most sense, dude. Because he knows that the Holy Knights are there. He's pissed off at him. He's on a path for vengeance regardless. So it makes perfect sense that even if they as scared as they are, they need to let Loki go so he can go turn up on the Holy Knights, because he knows that there's a real freaking problem brewing with these knights right now. And it's going to be bad. And I just, again, here he is saying, if you want to save Elbaf, undo the final cuff, man. Let me go do my thing. More confirming our theory of just Loki being a good guy. But yeah, guys, I think that's about all I got for this particular chapter. We will continue this conversation in Discord as always. For my Patreon people, it's time for us to start Bo Furry. I will be recording the first 2 episodes of that today for Patreon. Hopefully it'll be up there later on. Of course, a full uncut version of this, or at least the fullest uncut version I can give you guys of this, will be on Patreon today as well. Unfortunately, my file got corrupted and we did lose the initial reaction to this chapter, but we have a lot of good things that we cooked on, and a lot more things to cook on. The next thing to see is if they actually managed to get Colin. That's the theory that I'm really eager to see actually play out. Will the Holy Knights manage to actually snag Colin, and will that actually drag Gabon into the fray, and then does the entire crew go to Marijois after that? It's still going to take us a few more chapters, of course, to see that happening, but I'm really curious to see if we're about to see the kids on the entirety of the island start marching there, or just these certain groups of kids that the Holy Knights have chosen, because that's the next question. If Harold was trading kids for peace, we'll be at 3 for 3 halfway. That's absolute facts, dude. We're cooking, man. We are close. And I really do think Harold was absolutely either selling these kids, selling assets, maybe even potentially wood from the Adam tree, because that could be another thing that Harold was selling, even if it's not the original, he was giving away devil fruits theory like we originally came up with. He definitely seemed to be giving something of value from Elbaf to the world government. I'm really convinced on that. But as always, guys, thank you all so much for being here with me. Tell the people you love them. Touch some grass. Drink some water. Be safe out there. And I will see you guys on Patreon, in my comment section, in Discord, all those other places. It's all in the bio. Peace and love, guys. Thank you all for rocking with me. I'll see y'all next week. Next time. Tomorrow. Soon. I'll see y'all. Later.